AITA for canceling my wedding after my fiancée secretly drained our house fund for her ex? My name is Mark, I'm 40, and until last fall, I thought the most stressful thing in my life was choosing between a 30-year mortgage and a townhome with a weirdly tiny kitchen. I work as an operations manager for a regional delivery company in Ohio, which sounds boring until a snowstorm hits and 50 drivers start calling me at the same time. I'm the guy with spreadsheets, backup plans, and antacids in my desk drawer. I live in a 2-bedroom rental duplex with a carport, a shared strip of grass, a landlord who fixes things eventually, and a neighbor who thinks 7 a.m. is the perfect time to use a leaf blower. I also had a fiancée named Jenna. Jenna was 37 and worked as a dental office coordinator. She was the kind of person who could calm down an angry patient, remember everyone's insurance situation, and still come home with a grocery list organized by aisle. She used to leave sticky notes on my coffee mug that said things like, "Don't forget lunch, old man," or "You snored like a lawnmower." We had been together almost 4 years and engaged for 7 months. We weren't rich, but we were stable. Stable enough to argue about paint samples. Stable enough to debate whether we wanted a dog before or after buying a house. Stable enough that I thought the future was already taking shape, one automatic transfer at a time. At least, that's what I thought we were building. Jenna and I had a system. Separate personal checking accounts, one joint checking account for rent, utilities, groceries, and shared expenses, and one high-yield savings account for the down payment. Every other Friday, when my paycheck hit, I transferred the same amount into the joint account and then into savings. Jenna did the same on her paydays. I liked the rhythm of it. It felt adult in the way changing your furnace filter on time feels adult. Not exciting, but safe. For a while, we were proud of ourselves. We skipped a vacation to Florida. We drove my old sedan, even though the passenger window made a sound like a tired printer every time it moved. We cooked more at home. Jenna had a joke that any leftovers could become a bowl if you put rice under it and a fried egg on top. Some nights, we sat on the couch scrolling home listings we couldn't afford, then moved the price filter down and pretended we were being practical instead of disappointed. The goal was $60,000. Enough for the down payment, closing costs, inspections, moving costs, and a little cushion so one broken water heater didn't ruin us. By September, my spreadsheet said we should have had just over $52,000. That number mattered to me more than I liked admitting. I had spent years recovering from an earlier divorce in my early 30s. My ex-wife and I hadn't had some dramatic courtroom war. We got married too young, ignored money problems too long, and split with credit card debt neither of us wanted to claim emotionally, even though legally we both had to. So when I met Jenna, I was careful. Not cold. Careful. Early on, I told her money honesty was non-negotiable for me. We were eating burgers at a little sports bar near my apartment, and I remember she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Same," she said. "Secrets are what wreck people." That sentence would come back to me later so many times it started to feel like a joke I wasn't in on. The first weird thing happened on a Thursday afternoon. I was in my office eating a gas station turkey sandwich over my keyboard while reviewing payroll timing for weekend routes. My phone rang, and Andrea, our mortgage lender, popped up on the screen. We weren't officially applying yet. We had done pre-approval months earlier, and Andrea had told us to check back when our savings got closer. She had one of those bright real estate voices people use when discussing numbers that can ruin your week. "Good news," she said. "Based on the updated balance Jenna emailed over, you two are almost there." I stopped chewing. "Updated balance?" I asked. "Yeah, the savings screenshot. It showed you're just under 51,000. That's excellent progress." I looked at the spreadsheet open on my second monitor. I had updated it the night before while Jenna watched a cooking show beside me. We should have been around $52,000. Just under 51,000 wasn't impossible if something had shifted, but I knew every transfer, every deposit, every skipped dinner out, every overtime shift. "Can you forward me what she sent?" I asked, keeping my voice casual. Andrea hesitated. "I can send it to the email address we have for both of you." "Perfect," I said. 5 minutes later, the screenshot landed in my inbox. At first glance, it looked normal. Same bank. Same green header. Same account nickname. Balance, $50,944.18. Then I noticed the date in the corner. It was from 3 weeks earlier. I logged into the bank app. The real balance was $43,119.18. I sat so still my office motion light clicked off. For a few seconds, the only light in the room came from my monitors. The turkey sandwich sat in front of me, half-wrapped, suddenly inedible. My first thought was fraud. Honestly, part of me wanted it to be fraud. Fraud meant Jenna and I were a team against a stranger. Fraud meant we could be angry together. I opened the transaction history. There were transfers I didn't recognize. Not huge at first. $300, $450, $275, then $1,000, then $1,200. The transfer notes were vague: temporary, return, D-payment, adjustment. The destination account only showed the last 4 digits, but the name attached to 2 of them made my stomach drop. D. Miller. Derek Miller was Jenna's ex. I knew about Derek in the normal way people know about someone's ex. She had dated him before me. It ended badly, but not dramatically, according to her. He was a sweet guy with bad follow-through. He once forgot to pick her up from the airport because he fell asleep after a baseball game. That was the story she told at parties. Everyone laughed. I laughed too. I did not laugh in my dark office with a turkey sandwich turning to cement in my stomach. I printed the transactions before I even fully understood why. Maybe because I manage logistics for a living. When something goes wrong, you secure the record before people start explaining it away. That evening, I got home around 6:30. Jenna was in the kitchen chopping onions for tacos, wearing leggings, a gray sweatshirt, and the annoyed expression she always had when the cutting board slid around on the counter. The duplex smelled like cumin and laundry detergent. There was a basket of clean clothes on the couch. A stack of mail sat by the microwave. Everything looked painfully normal. I took off my jacket and said, "Have you noticed anything weird with the savings account?" Her knife paused for half a second. Then it kept moving. "Weird how?" she asked. "Balance looks lower than I expected." She scraped onions into the skillet. "I had to move some money around for my car insurance." "From the house fund?" "I put it back." "You didn't put it back." She finally looked at me. Not scared. Irritated. "Mark, I said I moved money around. I'm handling it." That wording stuck to me. I'm handling it. Like I had walked into a room I wasn't supposed to enter. I didn't push right then. We ate tacos at the little dining table we bought used from a couple moving to Columbus. Jenna talked about a patient who tried to pay with a restaurant gift card and acted offended when the office said no. I nodded at the right spots. I drank water. I watched her laugh at her own story. She didn't bring up the account. After dinner, while she loaded the dishwasher, I said, "Who is D. Miller?" Her back went still. "What?" "There are transfers from our savings account to D. Miller. Is that Derek?" She turned around slowly, drying her hands on a dish towel. She didn't gasp. She didn't drop anything. She just blinked too slowly, like her mind had to load a different version of herself. "Yes," she said. I waited. He needed help. With what? Rent. His mom had some medical bills. Stuff like that. From our down payment? It wasn't supposed to be from that account. But it was. I was going to replace it. With what money? She threw the dish towel onto the counter. "Why are you interrogating me?" That word did something to me. Interrogating. Like I was the problem for asking why thousands of dollars had left our house fund and gone to her ex. "I'm asking about our money," I said. "And I'm telling you I made a mistake." "No. A mistake is paying the electric bill twice. This is a pattern." She folded her arms. "You don't understand the history." I almost said, "Then explain it." But something stopped me. Maybe it was the screenshot she sent Andrea. Maybe it was the old date. Maybe it was the way she looked angry before she looked guilty. So I said, "You're right. I don't." Then I went to bed and didn't sleep. The next 2 days were tense in a way that made the house feel smaller. We still did normal things because people do normal things even when the floor is cracking underneath them. I took out the trash on Tuesday night. Jenna asked if I wanted coffee from the drive-thru on her way to work. I said no. She bought me one anyway and left it by my keys. There was a time when that would have softened me. Instead, I looked at the cup and wondered what else had been left out for me to find. On Saturday morning, Jenna asked me to grab the reusable grocery bags from the back seat of her car. We were doing that tense couple routine where errands become a temporary ceasefire. Her car was parked under the carport. The bags were half buried under a hoodie, 2 empty water bottles, and a pile of mail. I wasn't snooping at first. I lifted the mail to pull the bags free, and an envelope slid out onto the floor mat. Across the front, in red, were the words "Final Notice." It was addressed to Miller Shine Mobile Detailing, LLC. Under the business name, in smaller print, was Jenna's name. I stood in the driveway holding it while our neighbor's dog barked from behind the fence like it knew. I did not open her mail. I didn't have to. The outside showed enough: a credit union name, a past due amount, and a reference to a business line of credit. My hands felt cold even though the morning wasn't. I took a photo of the envelope and put it back exactly where it had been. Then I carried the grocery bags inside and watched Jenna check bananas for bruises like nothing in the world was wrong. That afternoon, while she ran errands, I searched the business name on the Ohio Business Registry. Miller Shine Mobile Detailing, LLC still existed. Registered agent, Derek Miller. Former authorized signer, Jenna. Former. Except someone at the credit union still thought she was connected enough to send final notices with her name on them. When Jenna came home, she put a bag of groceries on the counter and started talking about how eggs were expensive again. I let her finish. I helped put away the milk. I waited until the cold items were in the fridge. Then I said, "Tell me about Miller Shine Mobile Detailing." She turned gray. Not pale. Gray. She sat at the dining table and wrapped both hands around a mug of tea she never drank. "Before you," she said, "Derek and I tried to start something. A business. Kind of. It was supposed to be small. Mobile detailing. He had clients from his old dealership job. I helped with paperwork because he had terrible credit." I stared at her. "So you signed for him?" I didn't understand what I was signing. "You worked in office administration for 10 years. Her eyes filled, but I had already learned that tears can be real and still not be the whole truth. She said Derek kept using a credit line after they broke up. She said she didn't know until last year. She said he called crying, saying he might lose his apartment. His mom needed help, the business debt was going to collections, and if Jenna didn't help, her name could get dragged into it. "Dragged into it because you were involved?" I said. "I was trying to fix it without worrying you." That sentence made my chest feel hollow. "By taking money from me?" "From us." "No," I said. "For me too. Don't make it romantic." She started crying harder then. I was ashamed. I believed that part. I really did. But shame did not explain the old screenshot. I asked, "Why did you send Andrea a balance from 3 weeks ago?" She looked down. "Jenna, I didn't want the process to stop." "The process was already stopped. You just didn't want me to know." She wiped her cheek with her sleeve. "You're making this sound like I planned to hurt you." "That's not an explanation," I said. "That's a cover story." She flinched, and for a second I almost backed off. That was my bad habit. I prided myself on being reasonable. I liked being the calm one, the patient one, the man who didn't escalate. But there is a difference between patience and standing still while someone rewrites your life. The next morning, I took a personal day and drove to an attorney named Mr. Hahn, recommended by my older sister Melissa. She had been through her own divorce with a man who hid debts behind friendly explanations, so when I called her Sunday night and said, "I need a lawyer, not a pep talk," she didn't ask a single unnecessary question. Mr. Hahn's office had beige walls, a glass bowl of peppermints, and the calm energy of a man who had watched hundreds of people confuse love with liability. I brought everything: account statements, screenshots, the transfer list, the old savings screenshot Jenna sent to Andrea, the photo of the unopened final notice, the business registry page, and the wedding venue contract. He read in silence for about 10 minutes. I sat across from him, listening to the soft hum of a printer somewhere down the hall. Finally, he said, "Do not marry this person until you have full financial disclosure." I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because hearing a stranger say it made it real. He told me to move my direct deposit, freeze my credit, change passwords, and remove any automatic transfers connected to my personal account. He told me not to threaten, accuse wildly, or demand repayment in a way that could complicate things later. Document. Separate. Protect. People think the big moment is the confrontation, he said, sliding the papers back to me. Usually, the big moment is the first quiet boundary. So I set one. I opened a new account at a different bank and moved my next paycheck there. I changed every password. I turned on alerts. I removed myself from the wedding venue's payment portal. I transferred half of the remaining joint checking balance into my personal account, exactly the amount I had contributed that month, and left the rest untouched. Then I texted Jenna. We need full statements from every account connected to the house fund and wedding by Sunday. I'm not discussing marriage plans until that happens. 8 minutes later, she replied, Wow, so now I'm on trial. I didn't answer. 2 hours later, another text came in. I already told you the truth. I was sitting in my car outside a grocery store, watching a man try to fit a giant pack of paper towels into a compact hatchback. I put my phone face down. That evening, she sent one more. You're being cold on purpose. I made cereal for dinner and ate it standing at the counter. The next few days were awful in a quiet way. Jenna moved through the house like I had wronged her by noticing what happened. Cabinet doors closed harder. She slept on the far edge of the bed. She told her sister I was punishing her for helping someone. That version spread quickly. By Friday, her father Ron called me. Ron was 64, retired from a maintenance job at a school district, and believed most family problems could be solved with coffee, privacy, and one person deciding to be less stubborn. I liked him. He had helped me replace the garbage disposal once and refused to leave until it ran smoothly. Mark, he said, using the voice fathers use when they think they're being fair, I understand you're upset. But Jenna has a big heart. Sometimes she tries to save people. With our down payment, he sighed. Money comes back. Relationships don't always. I closed my eyes. Did she tell you about the business credit line? I asked. Silence. What business credit line? There it was. Jenna had told her family I was angry because she gave Derek rent money. She had not told them her name was connected to an old business debt. She had not told them she sent an outdated bank screenshot to our lender. She had not told them she used the house fund and then made me sound controlling for asking questions. Ron's voice changed. Send me what you're comfortable sending, he said. I didn't send everything. I sent the transfer list with account numbers redacted and the public business registry page. He didn't call back. Sunday came. Jenna did not give me statements. Instead, she invited her father, her sister, and my sister Melissa over for a conversation. That almost made me laugh by itself. Our living room barely fit 5 adults unless someone sat on the ottoman with the laundry stain. But Jenna had staged it like a family intervention. She put tissues on the coffee table. She made coffee. She wore the cream sweater she always wore when she wanted to look soft. I knew what she was doing. She wanted witnesses. She wanted me to look harsh. She wanted the story to become, Mark is making a mistake bigger than Jenna's mistake. Melissa texted me from the driveway. Do you want me nice or honest? I texted back, start nice. Everyone sat down. Ron took the armchair. Jenna's sister sat beside her on the couch, angled toward her like a support beam. Melissa sat on the ottoman and crossed her arms. I took the dining chair I had pulled in from the kitchen. Jenna began before anyone had taken a sip of coffee. I know I hurt Mark, she said, voice shaking. But I think this has become bigger than it needed to be. I helped someone I used to care about who was in a desperate situation. I should have communicated better, but I don't think compassion should end an engagement. Her sister nodded immediately. Melissa looked at me, but said nothing. Jenna continued. I've apologized. I want us to move forward. But Mark has frozen me out and made me feel like a criminal in my own home. That was when something in me settled. Not snapped. Settled. I reached beside my chair and placed a folder on the coffee table. I'm going to say this once, I said. This is not about compassion. This is about theft, deception, and financial exposure. Jenna flinched. Theft? Are you serious? Yes. Her sister straightened. That's a huge accusation. I agree, I said. That's why I brought documentation. I opened the folder. Here are the transfers from the house fund to Derek. Here's the outdated screenshot Jenna sent our lender to make it look like the balance was higher. Here's the public record for Miller Shine Mobile Detailing LLC, showing Jenna was connected to the business. Here's the final notice from the credit union addressed to the business with Jenna's name on the envelope. And here are the dates showing the transfers increased right after those notices started. The room went dead quiet. Ron picked up the registry page and read it once. Then he read it again, slower. Jenna whispered, You had no right to dig into my life like this. I looked at her. You used my money to keep your life hidden. Her sister stopped nodding. Ron's face looked older than it had 10 minutes before. Jenna, he said, is this real? She started crying. Dad, I was trying to handle it. He didn't soften. Is it real? She nodded. Melissa leaned forward. Did you send an old screenshot to the lender? Jenna wiped her face. I didn't want the process to stop. I said, you keep saying that like it was paperwork. It was our life. My phone buzzed on the arm of the chair. It was an email from Andrea, the lender. Earlier that week, I had asked her to confirm in writing exactly what Jenna submitted and when. I hadn't planned the timing, and I'm not going to pretend it was some perfect movie moment. It was just email being email. But it arrived right then. I opened it and read the key line out loud. The balance screenshot provided on September 14th was dated August 23rd and did not reflect current funds available. Jenna stood up. I can't believe you brought other people into this. I looked around the room she had filled with other people. You invited them. That line landed harder than I expected. For the first time, no one rushed to rescue her from the silence. Then Ron asked the question I hadn't asked out loud yet. How much total? Jenna sat back down. She didn't answer. So I did. $8,625 from accounts connected to our household or house fund. That doesn't include whatever she sent from her personal account. Her sister whispered, Jenna. Jenna snapped. You don't understand. Derek said if I didn't help, he'd let it go to collections and I'd be named. Ron said, then you should have called a lawyer. I was scared. I looked at her and felt the last piece of hope drop out of place. You were scared of being exposed? I said. Not of hurting me. She stared at me like I had said something cruel. Maybe it sounded cruel because it was true. The engagement ended that day. Not with shouting. Not with anyone throwing a ring. I stood up, walked to the little hook by the door where Jenna kept her keys, took the ring box from the shelf beneath it, and placed it on the coffee table. I'm not marrying someone who can lie this calmly, I said. She covered her mouth. So that's it. Yes. Her sister cried. Jenna cried. Ron sat very still, one hand resting on the folder like it might move if he let go. Melissa helped me pack a duffel bag. She didn't say, I told you so. She didn't say much at all. She folded my shirts and put my shaving kit in the side pocket and quietly asked if I had my work badge. I stayed with her for 3 nights while Jenna arranged to go to her sister's place. The lease had 4 months left, and Mr. Hahn helped me draft a clean agreement. I would pay my portion directly to the landlord until the lease ended. No more using the joint account. No wedding payments. No shared savings withdrawals without written consent. Jenna initially refused to sign anything. Then Ron, who had apparently spent Monday calling the credit union and asking questions of his own, changed his tune completely. He told her if she did not document the separation properly, he would not give her 1 dime toward the business debt. That got her attention. The wedding venue deposit was partially refundable. My portion came back to me. Not all of it, but enough that I stopped feeling like the universe was laughing directly in my face. The house fund was harder. Jenna could not repay the $8,625 immediately. Mr. Hahn helped me set up a repayment agreement. She made the first 2 payments late. Then Ron paid the remaining balance directly to me and made her sign a separate repayment plan with him. I didn't celebrate that. It wasn't a victory exactly. It was more like watching someone patch a hole in a boat after the trip had already been canceled. Derek did what men like Derek do. He disappeared for a few weeks, then resurfaced asking Jenna for one last favor. I know because she forwarded me the message with a long apology attached. The message from Derek was exactly what I expected. Vague emergency. Big feelings. No plan. No accountability. Jenna wrote, I know I should have told you everything. I'm sorry. I understand if you never forgive me. I stared at that email for a long time. Then I forwarded it to Mr. Hahn and blocked her. A month later, I heard from Ron that Jenna had filed a report about Derek using the business credit line after his authorization should have ended. Whether anything serious came from that, I don't know. I do know the business registry was updated. Her name disappeared from the public filing, and Derek's little mobile detailing dream finally collapsed under the weight of paperwork he couldn't charm. When the lease ended, I moved into a smaller apartment across town. It has terrible water pressure and a balcony that faces a brick wall, but every dollar in my account is mine and every password is one I chose myself. For a while, I felt embarrassed. That surprised me. I hadn't done anything wrong. But betrayal has a way of making you feel stupid for believing the version of life someone sold you. I replayed every conversation, every home listing we saved, every time she said she couldn't wait to build something honest with me. There were nights I missed the ordinary parts more than the romance. The sticky notes. The taco nights. The way she used to warm her hands on my coffee mug before handing it to me. That made me angry too, because the good memories didn't cancel out the bad choices. They just made them harder to file away. One Saturday morning, Melissa came over with coffee and a box of tools. We put together a cheap bookshelf I bought online, and no matter what we did, it leaned slightly to the left. I tightened the same screw 3 times and said, "Structurally, this thing reminds me of my last relationship." Melissa looked at it, then at me. At least this one was only $89. For the first time in months, I laughed without feeling it catch in my throat. I'm still saving for a house. The spreadsheet survived. The dream changed shape, but it didn't die. I don't scroll listings with someone beside me anymore, but I still look. I still know what I want. A small kitchen is fine. A slow landlord won't be involved. A dog is still under consideration. The part that took me the longest to accept was that financial betrayal is not just about money. It is about someone making private decisions with your future and then acting wounded when you ask where that future went. Jenna wanted me to believe compassion made her lie. It didn't. Fear made her lie. Shame made her lie. And maybe, in some tangled way, loyalty to a version of her past made her protect Derek longer than she protected us. But I made a choice too. I chose not to confuse forgiveness with access. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like a solid investment. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.